There was an idea to rewatch every MCU project in the lead up to Avengers Doomsday. This idea is called the MCU Rewatch Initiative. Are you ready? Hey everyone, as you saw from this intro, we are watching every MCU project in the lead up to Avengers Doomsday, and today we're doing episode 1, which you know what that means is Iron Man 1. What a film. I have not seen this film since my rewatch of the MCU in the lead up to Infinity War. So we're talking in 7 years. I've not sat down and watched Iron Man 1 from start to finish. And my initial reaction to just watching the film gonna be controversial. I know. It's amazing. Come on, it's Iron Man 1. I hope you rewatch this to watch this video. But if you haven't, this will be a nice recap of the events of Iron Man 1. It's such a blast. It sets the foundation so well. Everyone said at this point, this is what the MCU is based on. It set the foundation. It created the formula of MCU films, especially the origin films, what kind of the path it follows. We see how the hero gets his powers, fights big bad guy at the end. No, not rocket science, but this film does it so well. I don't know how this video is going to be structured. I recorded my entire reaction to Iron Man 1. So maybe we'll throw those reactions up now. Is there not a more fucking badass intro to a Marvel film than this? I don't know. I have that shirt. I am Iron Man. Hey, Jarvis. Let's go. I've not seen that in a long time. Come on. What a go.
Oh, I'm not drinking. I don't want any. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. When I get up in the morning and I'm putting on my uniform, you know what I recognize?
Only
You have to fire once.
That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. Consideration. The Jericho.
Come on. Come on, not the shot. The shot. Let's go. Ooh, baby. Shout out to Jensen.
Don't waste your life.
Never. You never did? My turn.
My turn.
I forgot Phil Coulson was in this. I forgot that is from the start. What?
I know. We're working.
I thought it didn't come until Iron Man 2. The effects are so well done in this film for the budget they had compared to what we have nowadays. Hold up.
I can fly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can fly.
Jarvis, sometimes you gotta run.
One before you can walk. Come on. What a line. Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk. That's why we love Tony Stark. He went, what's the record on the highest thing? And he's like, let me beat that now. First flight. This film just fucking rocks, doesn't it? Cute. Hey, Stan. Yes, let's get some Stanley cameos while we can. Oh, it still looks so good. This shot.
Impossible. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Box of scraps.
Next time, baby.
Not the next time, baby. Not for you, Terrence Howard. Next time, baby.
I am Iron Man.
Come on. What a way to end that film.
About the Avenger Initiative.
Come on, that's fucking awesome. Those are like kind of my quick reactions and the highlights of watching the film. This video is very inspired by the kind of funny series They're in Review, where they watch every Marvel film. They did it in the lead up to Infinity War, and they do it for everything that comes out now. So if you haven't seen that series, I highly recommend it. But the structure of this video, we're kind of just going to go with the flow. We don't know it's going to evolve in the 52 weeks leading up to Doomsday. But for in the video, I'll talk about the plot, kind of talk about my favorite moments, my least favorite moments, highlights, things I forgot, sort of that. So I made notes about that. We can talk broadly like the history of the film, not too in depth, but, you know, a brief history, like the background behind when the film was released. And then we do little fun segments. We do like the best hero moment, villain moments, my favorite quotes, the hypest moments, things like that. We'll figure out a structure at some point in these 52 weeks. But for now, let's talk broadly in terms of when this film came out. This film came out in May 2008. At that time, we've had Marvel films in that time. We had superhero films. But this film just came out of nowhere. I'll speak about my history of watching this film. I didn't know it came out. So I watched the Spider-Man films growing up. I was a big Spider-Man guy. I wasn't a huge Marvel fan as a whole, as I am now. But I grew up with the Spider-Man show. It's the X-Men show I watched. Spider-Man was my main guy. I think it was for everyone. And in that early 90s show, Iron Man did make an appearance. I remember the Secret Wars episodes. Hopefully I can find a clip where like Spider-Man choosing his team and he chooses Iron Man. I know it's like, I don't know who that guy is. But remember he chose like Fantastic Four. I'm like, oh yeah, I know them. Then he chooses Cap, and then he chooses Storm. Remember Cap from like one of those episodes. So like the initial Avengers lineup, I had a very, very brief idea who they were. But back in 2008, how old was I? I was 13. I was not as internet savvy as I was now. I don't think most of us were, if we were around in 2008, showing my age. The only thing I would know if films were coming out would read it in literally like magazines. So I remember having this comic book-ish magazine. It was called Rampage. I don't know if I'll be able to find an image of it. But that would talk a lot about upcoming movies. And I remember seeing Iron Man. But I had no interest of seeing the film. I remember I was going to see the Incredible Hulk film, which was going to come out later in 2008. But Iron Man, I had no idea. So at the time, I didn't watch the film. I watched it after watching Incredible Hulk. Because spoilers for next time's episode, Tony Stark makes an appearance there. So I was like, what's going on? I need to watch this Iron Man film. And then Iron Man 2 came out. That's kind of like the history of when I saw Iron Man. I saw it. I think I just watched it on like my computer at home, maybe illegally, after Incredible Hulk. So I was like, I gotta understand how this all fits. I don't get what's going on. Like my mind cannot comprehend these films were connecting. That's kind of my history of watching Iron Man 1, especially when it relates to 2008. But let's try to jump into the plot. We'll talk about Robert Downey Jr. a lot in this episode. I only just watched his test footage for the first time today. Crazy to see, but it's basically a scene from the movie. I'll try and get it pulled up with the two side by side. But basically, when he's talking to the reporter, kind of like flirting back and forth, she's pressing him, and then it ends up him taking her home. But that was the test footage, and that kind of got RDJ the role. And you can see why, because basically they take that scene and put it straight into the film because it was that good. Director of this film, Jon Favreau. Obviously, he plays Happy in this film. I was very surprised with the amount of Happy we got / did not get in this film. If you ask me how much is Happy Hogan in Iron Man 1, I'm like, oh yeah, a lot. But he was barely in the film, which is quite shocking to me, which is understandable with the fact that he's directing the film. He doesn't have time to be in all as much as he could. That's definitely why you see him more, especially the third one. Third one, we gave him a decent amount. 2, we gave him quite a bit, I think. But yeah, you definitely get more Happy throughout the years. I would have thought we had a lot more Happy in Iron Man 1, but we did not. Okay, the best way to probably talk about this film is kind of going through the rough plot of the film. I can talk about my favorite moments, the characters. So let's start from there. we start the film off with our introduction to Tony Stark, the billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. You know how it goes. But it starts off with AC/DC Back to Black. What's it called? I feel like Spider-Man in Homecoming. It's Back in Black, right? Yeah, AC/DC. He's in the truck. You realize he's an asshole, but in a cool way. Not like an asshole we're not gonna love. But RDJ plays it so perfectly, even from the second this movie starts. But when he's driving through the truck, he gets ambushed and captured by a terrorist group called the Ten Rings. The Ten Rings will play in a much later part of the MCU, but this is like their initial introduction. I feel in the comics, the Ten Rings, I mean, they're related to Iron Man and what we're going to see going up to Iron Man 3, but never really connects the same way I feel like the comics do, or like the Mandarin stuff and the way they do that. But you know, we'll save that discussion to Iron Man 3. But the Ten Rings are introduced here in the very first film. He's wounded. Obviously his heart gets fucked up. He's wounded by all the shrapnel, that explosion goes off. Barely survives because our guy Jensen puts an electromagnetic device in his chest to keep the metal shards from going into his heart. Thank God for Jensen. Big shout out. Because we wouldn't have the whole MCU without Jensen. If he just let Iron Man die, no, Thanos will take over the universe. So shout out to Jensen. So obviously he's imprisoned by the Ten Rings and he's instructed to make the Jericho missile. The Jericho missile is the missile he demonstrates. This one, I think it's just like one big missile that goes into separate, makes a big explosion. Like the terrorists want this missile because everyone wants the latest Tony Stark tech because those are always the best. But obviously, in the cave, he secretly works with Jensen to build a powerized armored suit, the Iron Man suit, using spare parts and the arc reactor technology, which he miniaturized to power his own heart. Later in the film, we see Obadiah being like, the arc reactor, that was just to please like the science folk. That's not really a thing that makes sense for us to manufacture or like we push forward with. The arc reactor is what saved his heart. We have here. Obviously, they build a suit, the big Mark 1 armor. I think the Mark 1 armor is so cool. The way they translated it from the comics. Comic book thing is called the iconic like front cover. I feel like even in this film, the way they did it looks super, super cool. This suit allows them to break free because the guys are not paying too much attention to what's going on in their cave. They're like, they see, I think they kind of see they making blueprints, but it's like, just get on with it. You have like a day. Yeah, so make the Jericho missile for us. But when they break free, Jensen has the best, well, there's two hero moments. Our award for this film. One has to go to Jensen for his sacrifice because without Jensen, we don't have the entire MCU because Iron Man would have died. Yeah, there's another hero moment we'll go into later. But they'll share an award for best hero moment in this film. So he sacrificed himself to save Tony. Tony escapes, he's able to fly off. It's not very slowly, but like flies up and is able to get out of there. And he destroys the terrorist camp, which I didn't know of this rewatch that he was captured there for 3 months because they're like, when he's saved by the helicopter and Rhodey comes down, played by Terrence Howard. As we know, he gets recast in the second one because, well, if you didn't know, he gets recast in the second one because he was asking for a bit too much money. But apparently originally Don Cheadle was meant to be in Iron Man 1. But Terrence Howard just was able to get there first. I don't know. Something like that. But Don Cheadle was in the running to be the Rhodey in Iron Man 1. But then it was Terrence Howard. And then he got replaced in Iron Man 2. But yeah, when he finds him, I don't know if it's like a dialogue or I think it's on the news report. It's basically like saying like 3 months later, Tony Stark has been rescued. I didn't know he was in there for 3 months. I thought he was there for like a week. Which makes more sense with the time frame he was allowed to build this missile. And and his character changed. I guess 3 months makes a bit more sense than in my head. It was like, oh yeah, it was there for like a week. So he returns back to the US, and Tony is deeply changed by his experience, and he holds a press conference basically like, we're not making weapons anymore. And obviously this makes Obadiah Stane, the bad guy for this film, the big bad guy, very annoyed, because we were like, so we're a weapons company not making weapons, that's not gonna fly, Tony. I'll take this minute to talk about Obadiah Stane, basically like his villain arc in this film. I think Obadiah Stane is a pretty cool villain. I feel like the consensus is like he's a kind of a rubbish villain. I think he's pretty good. Like, not like, I'm not talking about like Thanos level, but he's pretty good. Like, we see him throughout the film. You understand his like motivation. He does some dastardly shit. Like, he's the one who got Iron Man captured in the first place. He hired the 10 rings to capture him. Was it him? Is it him? We find out he gets his dad killed. Or am I picturing that? We realize this guy's a piece of shit. I don't know if the film tries to get you to like him. I like that Jeff Bridges is a cool actor. And people make fun of him when he's like in the Ironmonger suit. Like, oh, this doesn't make sense for his character. I'm like, if you saw an iron suit like that, like a mech suit, you want to be in the mech suit. I would want to be in the mech suit, so I understand why Obadiah Stane wants to be in the mech suit at the end of the film. But I think he's a pretty cool villain. I don't know if I want to be ranking the villains as we go. That could be fun. Obviously, for this initial episode, ranking, he's number 1 so far. But yeah, I think Obadiah is a really cool villain. I like his little device when he paralyzes Tony Leia. That just never comes back in the MCU, even though that seems like a very, very useful device, just to be able to like paralyze anyone you want. Obadiah Stane, pretty cool villain, and I like his character in the film. I think it works well for a first MCU villain. Yeah, so he's pissed off that Tony doesn't want to make weapons anymore. Understandable. He wants that dosh, and not making weapons is not going to get him any dosh. So Stark goes back to his workshop, and he's basically developing a cleaner, more sleek version of the Iron Man suit. Obviously, we all know what that looks like. He also perfects the arc rack to powering the suit. This includes, I think this is the scene where he gets Pepper come down and fiddle around with his chest, and he just pulls out like a whole like copper wire, and then like a whole piece comes out. And I'm always like, every time I see that scene, I'm like, what is that giant piece at the end she just takes out? Because that clearly wasn't doing anything. I understand like the wire you take that, or like the I guess that's the electromagnet thing. I don't know. Comes out, and I'm like, I feel like he needs that bit. He didn't seem too fussed, but that's when he's like, oh no, throw that away. And obviously we know by the end of the film, she did not throw that first arc reactor away, and keeps it as a proof that Iron Man has a heart. So this is when we start seeing his trial and error scenes where he's testing out the flight and doesn't go too well, hits the car. We get introduced to what are they called? In my head it's called just dummy. That's what he calls them. What are the robot arms called in Iron Man 1? Robot arms. There's 2 of them in Iron Man 8. One's called dummy. We know that. But like dumb, DUM-E and U. Why would one of them call you? Oh, that's where like you do this. Okay, I never got that. I knew dummy, but I didn't know one of them was called you. I know the robot arms in Iron Man, dummy and you. Yeah, this one builds the Iron Man Mark II. This is when it's just all silver and there's like a flight test. This is like a hype moment when that first flight scene, so cool. A couple more hype moments. I forgot to talk about the shot with the Jericho missile and then Iron Man's behind it. Iconic. I was hype. The scene in the cave where he's like got the hammer, it's like boom, boom. I think is that the end of Endgame has that, or even just the noise of it. But yeah, that's hype moment. But this first flight scene, so cool. You see like the screen go up, and it's like, is this where he says? No, that's later. But this is when that's the flight scene. He goes up, freezes for a bit, and then is able to catch himself at the very last minute and like just scoots the road. So cool. Obviously, that plays a part later where you realize you can't go fly too high. You need to build resistance in your armor to allow it to go that high. But when he lands, he just goes, "Yeah, I can fly." So cool. Further on the plot, we've got Pepper Potts and Rose are just concerned about his behavior. Tony sneaks out, uses a new suit, take down. This is when he goes to take down the Ten Rings. I think this is the line where it's like, sometimes you gotta run before you can walk. Might be that bit. Pipeline. This is when he goes to save that village. So cool. Actually, a hero, being a hero, going to do what the others couldn't. Flies in, takes all the terrorists out, and that's when we get the scene of the planes. And then he has to call a roadie on the phone, but like, that's me, dude. That's me. Like, that's the bogey. Tell you guys to leave it. That's a really cool scene. When he's the whole roadie on the phone of like, what are you talking about? Like, that's me, bro. But apparently this is where Tony Stark realizes that his company has been selling weapons to the enemies behind his back. Tony learns that Obadiah's orchestrated the kidnapping to gain control of his company. Staying Still's Stark reactors technology and commissions his own version of the suit, the Ironmonger. Stark refuses to help him build the perfect suit, and then Stain paralyzes him and steals the arc reactor from his own chest. Obviously, beforehand, you get to see the iconic line where Stain is yelling at the scientist dude who will come back later in Spider-Man Far From Home. He was like, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Best line. One of the best lines in this film. Well, best Obadiah Stane line, at least. And obviously that plays the part later in Spider-Man. Who would have thought? Not me. Oh yeah. So what the most forgotten moment about this entire film is just Phil Coulson. Phil Coulson is in this a bunch. I forgot. Obviously, Phil Coulson plays a huge role in Phase 1. As a big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. guy. Love Clark Gregg. I forgot how much he's in this film. He's just in the background. He just wants to talk to Tony. He's very much straight away. As soon as he gets back from being rescued, he's trying to like hit him up like, I'm with S.H.I.E.L.D. and then does the whole along the strategic homeland intervention, something logistics division. And he's like, you got to show him that name. We're like, yeah, we know. But it's very much when he gets back into America, Phil Coulson is there to have a chat with him. He's not messing around. He's not wasting any time. He's like, we know what you've been up to. We need to talk to you. That was interesting. The fact that he just built like one Iron Man suit that he's used for like 15 minutes and then S.H.I.E.L.D. is on his ass and like, we need to talk to you. Yeah, love seeing Phil Coulson so much. Without seeing him for like so long, I still need to watch I'm like halfway through the last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But as someone watched most of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I love Clark Gregg, so it's so nice seeing him in the movies where he belongs and he should return. I don't know if that's allowed to happen with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know how it ends, but I assume he doesn't die. Don't spoil for me in the comments what happens to Phil Coulson, but you know, bring him back. Bring him back in the films. We miss him. The Pepper and Phil Coulson infiltrate Stane's lab. Oh, that's when she's like on the computer. And we get the very tense scene where Obadiah walks in. She's been like trying to hack. And she's like, oh yeah, how you going? And Pepper like, yeah, pretty good. And then she's like shuffling the newspaper to like cover the USBs so she doesn't look bait. And then she gets the hell out of there. And then Obadiah pretty much knows straight away. I was like, that bitch stealing my files. Go get her. Oh yeah, it's when Tony gets unparalyzed. He crawls down to the lab and he's like, I gotta use this because I don't have an arc reactor in my chest anymore. So he crawls over, can't quite reach it, and then either Dummy or you grabs it, and then for the second best hero moment is when he gets given his arc reactor from either Dummy or you. I don't know the difference. Sorry, fake fan. Yeah, one of their hero moments was that he was like, "Good boy," when he gives him his heart back. And then we get to the final showdown where Tony Stark and Obadiah go at it in their suits. Obviously Tony tries to get him to go out fly high, so he freezes his suit and he loses. I always forget that I always think that's how the scene ends, where he will just go crashing down and loses, but no, he gets back up pretty much straight away. And Tony's like, Pepper, when I say so, you gotta unleash like the arc reactor, like stare off. And he does, which I never understood the scene either, when he's like set it off, but he's on top of it, so he should just die. But the initial force shoots him out of the way to safety, and then Stain is just close enough, even though he was on the ledge beforehand, comes down to step in front of it, and then he just gets fucking fried. And apparently this kills him. He is dead. I think he falls into the arc reactor, and that destroys the suit, and Obadiah is dead. And obviously, after all of that shenanigans of this film, we get the press conference where they ask him like, "Oh, we're meant to believe like you have a bodyguard. Iron Man's your bodyguard." And then Tony's like, "Well," trying to like, "Well, you know, da 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 da." Didn't say. What's the line? It's like, "Oh, no one called him a hero." I'm like, yeah, that'd be ridiculous if I was. And it was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not some superhero." Like, and the person's like, "Oh yeah, no one called you a hero." I'm like, yeah, that'd be ridiculous. And da da da. But then at the end, iconic line, tucked away, "I am Iron Man." Credits. Hype is moment. It's got to be one of the top 5 hypest moments MCU ever. Because every other superhero film is all about secret identities, balancing your normal life and your superhero life. Like obviously Spider-Man deals with that all the time, and that was kind of like the main that Batman, Superman, obviously the big cinematic heroes we had at this point, where secret identities means everything is always a major part of the film, something that's all to worry about. And this film just ends being like, no, I am Iron Man, deal with it, no secret identities for me. It's just like, just sets such a perfect tone to know like this Marvel universe, this Marvel hero is different from anything else you've seen at this point, and the film shows that for itself. And that final moment, it confirms this is not your average superhero film. It's not your average character. Tony Stark is one of a kind. Robert Downey Jr. plays it as a one of a kind. And this end moment kind of like solidifies that. Before I go any further, we'll talk about Gwyneth Paltrow, the Pepper Potts. Amazing. She has one of my favorite lines too. But she's like, when Tony brings the reporter back, and she's like, basically give her the clothes, so like, "Oh, you gotta leave, bitch." But she's like, "Oh yeah, Mr. Stark gives me to do a bunch of things around here, even like, you know, taking out the trash." Boom. That's like our introduction to the character, and it sets the perfect tone for Pepper. As the MCU goes on, we get less and less Pepper, but it's so nice seeing like this initial Pepper Potts, Gwyneth Paltrow just giving an absolutely amazing performance. It's like iconic. It's so nice seeing the foundation of their relationship, because I even think even by the end of the film, they're not really a couple. They're like, it's been a bit of work-based flirting going on, but it's so Gwyneth Paltrow kills it in this role. Like, she is Pepper Potts, the same way RDJ is Tony Stark, and Terrence Howard does a pretty good performance here too. We go into like Don Cheadle's performance later. I think the character of Rhodey is kind of always gets outshined by Iron Man, which is like he's meant to be like the straight man to like the charismatic Tony Stark. So, but Terrence Howard does a good enough job in this role too, and they're kind of like our main characters in this whole plot. But everyone does an amazing job in this film. No bad performances, I don't think. But at the end, we get our first post-credit scene, and what a post-credit scene to start with. We get Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson coming out at Tony Stark's home, introduces the Avengers Initiative, which sets the stage for the entire MCU going forward. I don't know how. I haven't done my research into the Nick Fury of it all. I feel like the Ultimates, maybe the comics had. I think they even said in the comics that he looks like Samuel L. Jackson, so the casting was just like perfect casting, and they just was able to get him, and they was able to get him future films. Even though I just saw an interview today, like an old one, where it was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be Nick Fury going forward after this because they're being a bit tight with money. So clearly Marvel sorted it out and gave Samuel L. Jackson some fat checks going forward. Because that would have been crazy if we had this scene and then Nick Fury wasn't Samuel L. Jackson going forward. The thing is, it's such a crazy thing because no one was trained to stay to the end of the credits at this point. So they had this like amazing announcement, cool moment, and I think probably 95% of the people who watched it in the cinema just didn't see it, didn't even know about it. But this is kind of the whole point. They got people trained to stay to the end of the credits because crazy announcements like this happened. They talk about the Avengers, which is so crazy. That is obviously one of the craziest post-credit scenes ever. Yeah, that I can think of. We'll compare them as we go through these 52 weeks. For this is definitely gonna be the craziest post-credit scenes ever. There's a character come out of nowhere. No, I mean, it's set up with Shield. For Phil Coulson, but you're not expecting Nick Fury to just pop out and it be Samuel L. Jackson. It kind of sets the stage like this. We're taking this seriously. We're getting like actors to come and play these roles. I mean, even like the Spider-Man films, I guess, show that like we had like Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina, like good actors to come and to play these parts. Like I think having Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury was such a statement piece. But yeah, that was Iron Man 1 as a whole. That was the film. So good. Definitely gonna be like ranking these as we go. Obviously, this first episode, everything's at number 1. And going forward, it's gonna be a bit tough to start getting knocked down the list. Especially in phase 1. Phase 1 hasn't got much competition when it comes to the films better than this. But the story of how this film even got made is crazy how good of a film it is. Despite all the hurdles they had filming, and they were doing scripts on the fly and doing scenes on the fly, and it was just like knowing that and seeing how good this film is just makes it an even better film to watch. But yeah, Iron Man 1, what an absolute banger of a superhero film. This made everyone who watched it fall in love with Tony Stark. And if you told that to people in 2007, you'd have been like, what the hell are you talking about? Who the fuck is Iron Man? I'm not gonna go watch that film. I don't care about this character. Robert Downey Jr., isn't he some like washed up actor? And then a year later, and even what we at now, 17 years later, we talk about Iron Man 1 as one of the classics, like one of the best superhero films. It's so crazy because who the fuck was Iron Man? And now he is a $1 billion franchise character. You can make a game of him and you know he's going to sell well. Well, you think so. I mean, there's a new one, a new Iron Man game coming out. I think who's making that? EA. But it's like it brings as a cachet. There's a reference to Iron Man. Iron Man is in that wheelhouse, whereas compared to Spider-Man, when when they were making it, it was a choice made out of necessity. Because that's all they had. Like Marvel sold all their characters to Fox, to Sony, to Paramount, and if they had the choice, obviously they'd be like, oh no, we'll just do Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, our key guys. But they'd be like, well, we've got Iron Man, he's pretty cool. I guess we'll make a film out of him, and it's changed the course of Marvel superhero film trajectory since then. It's just so crazy. This was the first video of the MC Rewatch initiative. This is definitely a very rough version of what this series is gonna be. Well, you guys watching, your ideas, what do you think worked, what segments we should add on, what you liked about this video, leave in the comments. Definitely gonna have a more structured, more something going forward, because this is just like, we're gonna see how it goes. It's gonna be a bit scrappy. It's gonna be the phase 1 of the series. So we're gonna learn, we're gonna grow, and eventually we're gonna have a rhythm to it where I feel a bit more comfortable knowing what I'm doing, because how this video is gonna end up is gonna be, I don't know how this video is gonna end out. But it's so much to talk about. It's so fun to talk about Iron Man 1, one of my favorite superhero films. Like, it's definitely they're MCU films. This is definitely, by the time the rankings go, I don't see this staying in top 10 personally. I mean, but that might be controversial. Obviously this film is amazing, but we got a lot of projects coming up, and some competition for Robert Downey Jr. for the man himself, the legend. It's crazy, we're gonna see him as Doctor Doom in a year's time. But I think I'm gonna end the video there. Thank you so much for watching. This is Disco Dave Reacts. Next video will be The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. I kind of like that film, but haven't rewatched it once again since 2018. This could be an interesting watch. Getting a little refresher. Obviously, the characters from that film have gone on to newer projects. So that'll be more interesting to watch it with She-Hulk and Captain America fresh in our minds. But that'll be fun. So tune in for the next episode where we're going to watch The Incredible Hulk. But thank you so much again for watching. Leave a like. Please subscribe. Get ready for the next video. Rewatch Incredible Hulk for yourself. And come with me on this journey of this MCU rewatch. Peace out. Bye. I am Iron Man.